France are absolutely dominating the Six Nations right now, and they're probably looking the best they've looked maybe even ever. I mean, this team a year out from the World Cup looks extremely dangerous, but why is that? Why are they looking so good all of a sudden? Why are they just dominating? Well, in this video, I'm going to kind of go over the things I've noticed, some stats that maybe back it up, and some reasons why France probably right now are by far the best team in Europe and probably are a top two team in the world right now. I think right now, if I had to kind of put my money on who the top two teams are in the world, it's South Africa and France. And I think they both have issues, but very positive issues, in the fact that selection is going to be tough for them going forward and choosing their strongest 23, because right now both these teams have so much depth, they've got so much talent. But let's get right into it. But before we do, guys, if you do enjoy the content, please don't forget to like and subscribe. This is going to be a bit of a different video, just kind of going over why France is dominating the way they are and why I think they're going to continue to dominate the entire Six Nations. So let's get right into it. First of all, I think France right now have been really good with their selections. I mean, keeping combinations together, choosing the right players to get the job done. At the start, I was kind of confused. Why are they choosing Gillard and Charles Olivon at lock? Or why they're not choosing Damien Penaud? I was actually like, what is Fabien Galtier doing? But it just made sense at the end of the day. They have guys like Tioati Sogbe that are absolute game changers, young players that are finally growing confidence through only 3 games in the Six Nations already. 3 games in and he already looks like a completely different player. And Mikel Gillard, this entire Six Nations has been absolutely incredible. And if you think the last game against Italy, they didn't even start Gillard or Charles Olivon, and they started with Mialfu and Thibaut Flamet, and those guys had an epic performance as well. So going forward, it's going to be very difficult for them to decide who is actually their strongest team if they had to pick the team for a World Cup final on the day. So I mean, right now the selections have been absolutely incredible, and if you think the likes of a Mofana and a Deporté got injured and they just brought in the likes of a Brolbary and a Gaetan, those guys have absolutely stood up and taken the opportunity with both hands. And what do they do now when the other guys come back healthy? Do they just put them back in, or do they have to kind of fight it out for the position? It's a very luxury spot that France is in right now, especially with how well their players are playing. And if you think Baptiste Seren, he's been given a few opportunities. He's looked absolutely awesome every time he's stepped foot on the field. What's going to happen when Nolan Langerek's back? What's going to happen when Maxime Lucu's back? Yes, it's a bit of a nightmare for the selection and for the staff and for the coaches, but for the fans and for the neutrals that are watching like me, it's awesome to see that there's so much depth there. And if you look at the other side, like the Springboks, you also have like Grant Williams, you have Hashim Pete coming through, you have Kobus Reinach, you still have Faf de Klerk there. And if you look at fly-off, you have Sacha Ngomazulu, you have Andre Pollard, you have Marnie Lebok. In the centres now, you have Kanan Moody, Jesse Creel, Ethan Hooker, Dale Lindy, Andre Estes, and there's so many players to choose from, but who do they choose? Which is a very, very good issue to have right now for France. The second thing I did say was the intent. The intent France are playing with right now is they're playing with way more intent and a will to, they really want to win way more than every other team right now. You can just see it by the way they play, the way they make tackles, the way they dominate collisions, the way they chase down kicks, the way they chase back on defense if a line break happens against them, the way they hit rucks, the way they do everything. They play with so much intent right now. It's almost as if everything they're doing, they know exactly what purpose it's for, they know exactly what outcome they want to get from it, and they know exactly what they have to do to get it. So, I mean, if you look at the way they kick for the corners, the way they do these silly plays, these silly trick plays that work out every time, everything they're doing is with intent. They're not just trying to throw the ball around and make things happen. They're actually doing everything with intent. And it all starts with the forwards at the front. I mean, that engine room for France right now is really putting in huge shifts for France right now. If you think the way that forward pack is hitting rucks right now, giving Antoine Dupont the cleanest ball possible, sometimes they get the ball out so quick it's even out before he's there and they have to pop the ball up for him, which is probably what is the best scenario for France. When Antoine Dupont gets the ball for pop pass from the base from a forward, then Jalibert or Ramos can play out the back. I mean, the forwards right now are putting in huge performances for France. At line-out time, they're good. Scrum time, they're doing okay. But luckily, the back line and the loose forwards are good enough to kind of give a good base at the scrum time, especially when they want to break to the blind side or break towards the centres. They kind of find it setting up a next phase. They're very good at that. Actually, France is very good at their first phase of set piece, especially off the line-out. But the intent these guys are playing with right now, with everything they do, the way they chase kicks, the way they go for the aerial battle, the way they hit rucks, the way they tackle, it's just different to every other team. And I will say the only team I've really seen that from was Ireland against England last week. The other teams, yes, they're doing it in patches. That's the thing. They're doing it in patches. They're playing well. They're hitting rucks well. Everything's working out for them in patches. But France is doing it for 80 minutes, 3 games in a row. For 80 minutes, 3 games in a row, France have done almost everything perfectly the way they needed to do to get the actual final outcome, which is a win. I mean, if you think of the likes of the way Anthony Geelonge has been playing, the way Franco Cross has been playing, the way Oscar Jagu's been playing, these guys have put in such big performances, but you don't actually realize it because you only realize what DuPont's doing or what Ramos is doing, or what Louis Belbarri is doing, but you don't realize how did they get into those positions. It's because the guys like Giard or Cross or Olivon or Anthony Geelonge are really putting their bodies on the line with every single thing they do to help the guys around them. So that's just something I've been realizing. And I mean, if you do go back and watch the games, I was actually surprised that France kind of bullied Italy around the field a bit, because Italy's a very, very physical team. But the way France is playing right now, they don't care who you are, they don't care what your name is, they don't care how big you are, they're going to try smash you, which is very awesome about this team. I really like the mentality of this team right now. The competition within the squad's another thing. I think the internal competition, the positional competition is really healthy in this France team right now. I mean, if you think of the centres, Mofana and Deporte, and then you have Belbarri and Mili and Gaetan. These guys are really battling it out right now for centres. And if you think a guy that didn't even make the squad in Gael Fakou, another guy that can easily come in and be a game changer or add a lot of experience, this competition right now is very healthy. And it's not like a team where I don't think any player in this team is actually that safe, especially if they start performing badly. They are not safe. So they know every single week they have to put a big performance in. They have to step up their game every single week, and the coaches are keeping a close eye on them. I mean, Piatto Mavaka didn't play against Wales because he kind of slacked off a little bit the week before compared to what he could do. Came back last week against Italy and he played really well. And it just shows the coaches kind of know what they are doing as well mentally with the players. They know that they're trying to get the best out of them, like giving Mialfu and Thibaut Flamé start and then playing as well as they did. I can't even imagine how well Olivon and Giard are going to play the next time they get an opportunity to play together. It's going to be incredible. If you think the next time Maxime Luku or Nolan Lakarek come back, how well are they going to try play, knowing that Baptiste Serene looks as good as he does? Or if Damien Penaud ever gets a chance again, what is he going to do with his ability now that he knows Theo Tesogbe is such a world-class player? It's a very good right now, the competition within the team. And I think right now, there's probably not one player. I think obviously Antoine Dupont, but he doesn't really play bad. There's not one player that's not safe if they don't play bad, but they all kind of have that good environment where they will all get the best out of each other. And I think when it comes to training, having guys that are good all in every single position and having two very strong teams can only help teams prepare and can only help them train better. I mean, if you are in the centres, for instance, if you're playing against the backline in training, that's Baptiste Serene, Roman Intermac, Yoram Mofana, Deporte, and then if you have the likes of some other players in the backline as well that are really good right now, like Adrian and those guys, you're gonna get better. If you're training against a team that's basically better than the team you're playing against the weekend, you are gonna benefit from that. So I think the competition right now in the France team is fierce, but it's very healthy and it's very good for the overall development of the team. The next thing I've got written down here, they are playing to their strengths. This is a team right now that their style of rugby, I can't actually describe exactly what their style of rugby is because it's a complicated style, but they make it look so simple. But everybody thinks that this France team right now, they're just throwing the ball around and things are working out for them. But that's not the case. They actually have a very well-educated kicking game. They kick very well. They actually won a very tight kicking battle against Italy last week. They won the kicking battle against Italy and against Ireland, who have a very good kicking game, and against Wales as well. They actually played a different game to what they played the game previously to Ireland, where they actually adapted very well. But the one thing this team does very well is play to their strengths. And their strengths right now is playing with quick ball and getting that front foot ball very early in the game. What this France team does probably better than any other team in the Six Nations is they come out flying, and when an opportunity does come, they get extremely desperate. Now, the one thing I have been realizing a lot with rugby in recent years is when a team's down by like 2 or 3 tries, they play extremely desperate. And it's like, where was this the whole game? If you're a fan of a team and your team's been down by 2 tries, and at the end of the game, for some reason now they're playing good and they're actually trying stuff or they're playing with a bit of desperation, you're like, where was this the whole game? The thing with France is they're playing like that from the very first minute of the game, which is very, very dangerous for other teams. France are playing with that desperation of being 2 tries down from the start of the game. The same thing happens with the Springboks as well. And the same thing happened with the All Blacks when they were at their peak. They were playing with that desperation the entire game. It wasn't just a thing that they went through phases and stuff. I think England right now is a perfect example where they can be like on the up. The energy could be up for 10 minutes in a game. They can look so dangerous. Then something happens and they just can't find that again. And even if they try to get back to that, they can't find that energy again. Where the this France team right now, they kind of pride themselves on being able to, no matter what the circumstances in the game, no matter the score, no matter where they are, it could be the first minute of the game, it could be the 80th minute of the game, they could be in the lead by 40, they could be in the lead by 1. They are going to play with the same desperation, and I think that makes a very dangerous team. So that's just something I've been realizing as well. Also, they play with a lot of unpredictability. So the way this France team plays is they have a lot of variations to the way they play. I mean, if you think of their running game, they can play through Antoine Dupont around the fringes, or they can play through the likes of their forward pack, who's very skillful as well, or they can play out the back to Jalibert, who's unpredictable himself, or they can play out the back to Thomas Ramos, who's got actually some of the most passes for this France team in the entire Six Nations, even before he played at number 10, which just shows how much of a key playmaker he is. The way they kick as well is very unpredictable. They change it up every time. Sometimes they do low kicks, sometimes they do high kicks, sometimes they do high hanging kicks, sometimes they do grubber kicks, sometimes they do chip kicks as well. They have a very big variation in every single thing they do. The way they pass, the way they run lines, the speed they play with, the way they kick, the way they do everything. So that's one thing that really makes this team special as well. So I can imagine playing against France. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what they're going to do next. You don't know where they're going to kick to next. You don't know how the kick's going to come. I mean, if you're standing at fullback, you don't know if you're going to get a grubber put on you. You don't know if you're going to put a high ball. You don't know if it's going to be a weird torpedo spiral bomb. You don't know this stuff anymore because France is so good at changing everything they do. And a perfect example is like Thomas Ramos against Italy. Kicks the ball out on the full. Next play, does a box kick style grubber up and under down the field, gets a perfect bounce, rolls out 50-22 for France. They end up scoring. So the way they are unpredictable right now is very dangerous for every single team they play against, especially if they're not switched on. And it kind of showed it in the first half against Ireland, in the second half against Italy, and probably the whole game against Wales. Now, something else. Their three key playmakers, Dupont, Jalibert, and Thomas Ramos. These guys have been game changers and absolutely game breaking for France. They have been the absolute difference. Yes, everyone else is doing their jobs really well. And I mean, Louis Bielbarré is also a game changer, and Théo Tessogbe as well. But these guys, every single thing goes through these guys. I mean, I'm just going to try find it here. Passes for the entire Six Nations. Antoine Dupont's got the most passes with 182. Second is Thomas Ramos with 77. Third, Mathieu Jalibert. So yes, this might seem normal to some, but if you think of the likes of the Springboks, probably Damien Delende will get probably more touches than the likes of Damien Willemse at fullback. Or it's just as an example, but everything is running through these guys right here. Every single thing is running through Dupont, Jalibert, and Ramos. So realistically, if one of them do have an off game, they only need two of them to have a good game to still get that same outcome. So if you think how much actually goes through these guys, we'll go through some of the stats and just show you actually how much. Carries. Thomas Ramos at fullback has the second most carries so far in the Six Nations for France with 35 carries. Antoine Dupont at number 9 as a scrum half has 30, number 3. Number 5 is Mathieu Jalibert with 27 carries, who didn't even play against Italy. So that just shows how much is going through them. Kicks. 46 by Antoine Dupont, 20 by Mathieu Jalibert, 12 by Thomas Ramos. Now you think, that actually seems quite low by Thomas Ramos. But if you think the way he does kick and the things he actually gets, the wins he gets with his kicks, he's always, every time Thomas Ramos decides to kick, it's for something that can have a net positive outcome. He's not, yes, sometimes you'll kick to just try win the kick battle, but most of the time when Ramos is kicking, his job as a kicker for the team is actually to kind of break the opposition team down with a 50-22 or some sort of try assist or some sort of pressure play to kind of put the other team on the back foot and get Louis Bielbarré and Théo Tessogbe down the line chasing and get those guys on the back foot, or even scoring a try. If you think of the little hook kick he did against Ireland, which was incredible. Now passes. Antoine Dupont 182, Thomas Ramos 77, Mathieu Jalibert 42. Once again, meters carried. Antoine Dupont 143, Thomas Ramos 215, Mathieu Jalibert 139. Line breaks. Thomas Ramos 3, Antoine Dupont 3, Mathieu Jalibert 2, and he only played 2 of those 3 games. Offloads. Thomas Ramos 9, Mathieu Jalibert 9, Antoine Dupont 7. They are the top 3 in offloads as well. So it kind of does give you an example of where everything is going throughout this team. Defenders beaten, Thomas Ramos 11, Antoine Dupont 11, Mathieu Jalibert 9. Top 5 in that for the whole team as well. So, and also try assists, Mathieu Jalibert number 1 with 4 try assists, Thomas Ramos number 2 with 3 try assists, Antoine Dupont tied second with 3 try assists as well. So these 3 are really important for this France team right now. They are so important for this France team. And I think every single other person doing their job perfectly, as in Louis Belbari and Tia Atisogbe chasing the balls perfectly every time they kick it, or working off their wing really well to kind of get in the right positions, knowing that a Ramos, a Jalibert, and Antoine Dupont will put them in the right spaces. They're doing their job perfectly there. A front row cross that's dominating almost every collision, getting stuck into almost every ruck alongside Oscar Jegu, making sure Antoine Dupont gets quick balls so that Mathieu Jalibert has space to work, or that Thomas Ramos has just a bit of an extra second to kind of think his thought process through of what's going on or what he's seeing. This is all having a net positive on this team, and I think this entire France team right now is so dangerous, but it's going through those three guys: Antoine Dupont, Mathieu Jalibert, and Thomas Ramos. And we saw it even worked without Mathieu Jalibert there. Obviously, it is better with Mathieu Jalibert there. And I know before the Six Nations, everybody was kind of saying, Mathieu Jalibert and Antoine Dupont, they still have to figure it out. Well, I can tell you, it looks like they have figured it out. Yes, there's still a long way to go to the World Cup, but this just shows that these three right now are the key guys pulling the strings for France, but they are making a huge impact. But the other guys around them doing their job perfectly well. The internal competition with guys trying to play as well as they are, with the centre battle, the loose forwards, the locks, is also playing a part to that. The intent everybody's playing with, which goes back to that internal competition and the selections from the coaches. Unpredictability coming from those three guys especially. So right now, this is all the things that have kind of leading to France being as dominant as they are. And if you look at other teams, I'd say like England, some players are probably very comfortable, very, very comfortable in their positions. They know, I'm not going to get dropped. I probably am the main guy here right now, so I had an okay game today. It's fine. I'm going to play next week. Or if you think of Scotland, I love Scotland rugby, and I think it's going to be a great game against France, but they don't have as much depth. So there is kind of a bit of a leeway there as well. And I'm not saying that they're not trying their best. It's just that these guys in France know that if they actually don't pitch up every single week, they do lose their spot. So they kind of have built the best possible environment right now to kind of get the best out of every single player and make sure that they all step up at the biggest stage. Now, I think Ireland actually could go that direction as well if they do bring in more of the youngsters, give them more game time as well. I mean, if you think if the likes of an Edwin Adogbo or a Cormac Uzuchukwu or now with Rob Balakoon, those guys coming in and really challenging the other guys that have been there for years, it's going to create that same competition between the team. It's going to bring that same kind of intent out. So I think Ireland is probably the one team I see right now in Europe as well that could also go in that direction. And I think right now South Africa and France and probably New Zealand are the teams that really kind of show this more often than not. But these are just some of the reasons why I think France is dominating and why I think France will easily win the Six Nations and why I think France probably will get the Grand Slam. But yeah, I mean, if you guys did enjoy the content, please don't forget to like and subscribe. I know it was a bit of a ramble, a bit of a rant, but this is just something I've been seeing from France. And if you do agree, let me know in the comments down below. If you disagree as well, let's talk about it in the comments. I will be doing who I think every Six Nations team should pick throughout the week. I think it's going to come out maybe Saturday or Sunday. Starting off with, I think, England and then Ireland, who I think they should pick for next week's game. And it's going to be awesome. Next week, a big week of Six Nations. Ireland versus Wales, Scotland versus France, England versus Italy. It's going to be absolutely epic, guys. So if you do enjoy the content, please don't forget to like and subscribe. And I appreciate all the support. And we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.